High school sports are one of the things that make living in California so great.
But sometimes the behavior in the stands can overshadow our achievements on the field.
I love it when my parents show up for me.
But being booed for missing a play can be crushing.
And remember that refs are people too.
They're trying their best to call a fair and correct game.
Hey, and enough with all the swearing.
No one should feel insulted or ashamed
Because of their race, ethnicity, or gender.
We should be able to hold our heads high after the match, win or lose.
And welcome everyone to the Sportscenetv.net weekly live stream podcast. I'm Anthony Serenata, and check it out on the other side, right over there. Josh Thompson in the house.
Hey Anthony, how's it going, man?
I got to remember everything is mirrored, so it's not this way.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
this
that
way.
No, you're this way to me. Yeah.
So we're glad you could join us. Josh hanging out with us again for tonight. He said, "Dodger game? What Dodger game? You know."
We can catch up on it later.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we have a great week. I know it kind of sounds cliche, but the way the prep football season and the schedule has been going, it's just been an amazing week after week, and this is no exception. And so let's get right through the formalities. This is our weekly Prep Sports podcast, our live stream, our Week 8 show, October 12th, 2022. We do the show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. You can check out the website at sportscenetv.net. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at sportscenetv. And on YouTube, you can follow our live stream and all our video content at sportscenetv1. And then we're on the Instagram, sportscenetv1 as well. Your questions and comments are all welcomed. In fact, we got one right here. Ken Thompson says, "Let's get it." And then he says, "Go Braves."
Does he mean Atlanta Braves or Altaloma Braves?
I have a feeling it's Atlanta Braves. In fact, if he would post who his favorite player on the Braves is, he probably would say, of course, former Dodger pitcher Kenley Jansen.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, send us your questions, your comments, your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And we just want to let you know that we're here to talk prep sports. So if you have a shout out to a player, a coach, or a team, let us hear it. We'd love to hear from you. And Josh from the Champion newspaper encompassing the Chino Valley area. Josh, why don't you go and drop off some of your social media as well? And that way people can find your content and hook up with you during the week.
Yeah, of course. We're on Twitter at CHChampSports. We're on Facebook at championnewspaper.com with facebook.com/champion newspaper. And we're on Instagram at Instagram.com. The Instagram handle is at champion newspapers _Josh T, just like you see right there.
Yeah, see, it's hard to come up with it. Yeah, exactly.
On our screen.
Yeah, so talk about instant communication. Ken says Atlanta Braves.
Atlanta Braves.
And
I was a big Atlanta Braves fan back in the 90s when they had Greg Maddux, they had John Smoltz, they had Tom Glavine. One of my favorite hitters of all time, Fred McGriff, Rafael Belliard. Back in the day, that was the team.
The team of the decade, where they only ended up winning
1995 World Series champion.
Yeah. And who would you think is Ken's favorite player? It wasn't Jansen. Yeah.
Hopefully it's not Freddie Freeman because he's out here now. So.
It would be Acuna.
Oh, Acuna. Acuna's a very good player. I think they interviewed Acuna on ESPN, one of the Sunday Night Baseball games. Probably, I think it was in the last season. They were interviewing him during the game, and he was pretty hysterical, trying to field balls and turn double plays while he's mic'd up, talking to the announcers. So Acuna, very good player.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ken is already halfway home to the Sports Scene TV viewer contest that we have. All you have to do is subscribe now, Ken. You already commented and liked the video, and everyone has an opportunity to do that by Wednesday midnight. And we'll enter you in a random drawing and see if your name gets picked. And you might get a little something so you can enjoy before a game or after a game as well. And you get to take me and Josh, with you.
Yes.
And yeah, see, here you go. Just one ring. See, there you go. One ring.
1995.
And he says Glavin was his guy.
Glavin was the guy.
Absolutely.
Number 47, left-handed pitcher, was a lethal pitcher. And, that team was so fun to watch, especially with Greg Maddux, when his fastball hit, 90? But he had so much junk on his ball that it was so hard to hit. And he was so accurate with his pitches. And Glavin and Smoltz, just a great trio of pitchers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, make sure to just says sweet. But yeah, just definitely all you gotta do is just do what Ken did there. Just subscribe, put a comment, like us, and you can get in your name for a drawing for a nice little what they call fan appreciation, but I get fan appreciation, but for our viewer appreciation. So
there you go.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, exactly. So, Josh, let's jump right into it because it was, this coming week is going to be a lot of league games for a lot of teams, but there were some league games that had already passed. And the big one in general that we were really looking at and dissecting in our last show was the Damien versus Chino Hills. And we end up seeing that Damien comes away with a victory. Unfortunately, though, again, in just, I don't know if you want to call it weird but unfortunate situation. We saw the quarterback for Chino Hills go down. You can give us an update on that as well. But no Coach Bechtel on the sidelines again. They go 2-0 without him there, but I hear maybe one more game he'll be sitting out and then come back. But why don't you break it down for us with all your insights and everything you have there? But unfortunate again for Chino Hills.
Yeah, football is a sport where injuries can really hurt your team. Whether it's at high school level, the pro level. We've seen that at the pro level this year, too, with Tua Tagovailoa with the Miami Dolphins going down. But with the high school team, too, if you don't really have a good backup quarterback on your team when your quarterback does go down, it does get tough to win. And against Damien, Chino Hills only had one touchdown, and they came out special teams. Will Davis had a 96-yard touchdown kickoff return to put him up. I actually didn't put him up. It almost tied the game at 7-6 at that point. Damien was already ahead. But Fabian Vasquez, the Chino High transfer that went to Chino Hills this year, he had a non-contact knee injury in that game, and it forced him out. I texted, or actually Instagram message, I should say, with head coach Keelan Johnson just today and asked him how he's doing. He says he's doing fine, but he is waiting on the MRI. He didn't mention that he wouldn't play or would play this week. But I can't imagine, just my total guess here, I can't imagine that if he's waiting on an MRI, he's probably not going to be 100%, of course, or maybe even 50%. So he may have to sit this one out this week against Rancho Cucamonga on Thursday. So we'll see there. But he didn't give any more details about the injury. But Fabian Vasquez looks like he might be out for the Rancho Cucamonga game on Thursday.
And that's a big game coming up for them as well. Well, the whole baseline league is pretty much a playoff game for, those teams there. But very unfortunate. And it's just amazing that, a lot of folks looking at Damien's numbers and records, they saw what looked like probably a long season has now turned around. We know they played some really good quality teams in non-league. But just the turnaround that they have done, the unfortunate incident after that game maybe spark plugged some of the kids to really, play grit and their heart out.
Yeah, if you look down, I'm looking right now at Damien's schedule this year. They've played some very, very tough teams. And like Pasadena was a 1-point loss. Orange Lutheran was a 6-point loss. Lucerna was a 7-point loss. So they're in these games, but they're just not pulling out those close ones. Now with the unfortunate incident at the Bishop Lamont game a couple of weeks ago, and Bechtel having to step away for a few games, and then having to start league literally without their head coach and without a couple of assistant head coaches. They've come out and played just as well as I think I expected them to play. I didn't know if they would beat Upland, but they did, and they did well. Without their coach. Their coach was in the front row of the stadium, and I don't know how much influence he had from that far away from the sideline, but they came away with the win. Then they played Chino Hills, who's a very, very good team, and came away with the 26-7 victory. So they're doing something right over there, Damien, whether Bechtel's on the sideline or not. They're doing something right over there, and they're really going to be one of these teams that has a chance to, not only contend for the baseline league title, but just win it too. They have a game against Rancho Cucamonga coming up still, and they have to play Etowanda as well. So very tough games coming in, but they're playing well. And when Bechtel comes back, maybe he can be another good luck charm for him. Get rid of the past of what happened this year, but maybe he can come in and lead them to victory, and maybe they can get the league title. They were the one team last year. I think they finished in last place in the baseline league and didn't make the playoffs. So maybe this year they can have that complete turnaround, win the league title, get to the playoffs, and maybe do some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do things a little differently. Normally we would, take a break, bring in our interview with our guests, and then come in and then look at week 3. But why don't we go ahead and mix it up a bit? We'll go and look at the upcoming games already, because I think when we chat about upcoming games, obviously Charter Oak and Ayala come to mind. Give us an opportunity to chat about it, and then we could then take our break and then bring in Charter Oak Chargers head football coach, a good longtime friend of the show as well, Dominic Farrar. So let me go ahead and pull up the schedules here. So there it is, the big Charter Oak versus Ayala. We'll kind of just glance over that real quick, and then we'll come back to it. But there you see it, Charter Oak 7-0, Josh, against Ayala 6-1. And I think you and I last week kind of agreed that this one here is really going to be a decider of seeing who takes league and who takes second place, especially when you have two of the top teams going head to head.
Yeah, most definitely. You're looking at their point totals and defensive point totals. Charter Oak has scored more points, has given up less points, but yet Ayala's ranked higher. So that shows to the strength of schedule for Ayala that they are playing some better teams in their league. And the one loss that they had was against Citrus Valley. That's the game where Brian Wilson had sat out with, I think it was a toe injury, and he sat out that game. And they played Citrus Valley, who's a very good team. They're one of the top ranked teams in the Inland Valley. But Charter Oak is no joke this year. Richie Munoz, the quarterback's throwing for 253 yards a game. Zachary Black is rushing for over 70 yards a game. And so they're putting up the points. They got 273 points so far in 7 games. That's a pretty good average, and only giving up 91. So for Ayala, Brian Wilson's going to have one of those games like he had last game. Remember when we were talking about that against Glendora, and he had 4 touchdowns in that contest against a very good Glendora team. So they're going to have to use him and need him, and he's going to have to play well for them to get past Charter Oak, because this is going to be so far the game of the year for any of our local teams here, just because of where we're at in the season, their records, what this means. Because like we talked about last week, whoever wins this game, we both agree that this could be the league champion. Based on, they still have 2 more games to go, but whoever wins this game is going to be, on paper, at least for now, going to be the league champion. So it's a huge game for both teams, because you know how it is when you're a league champion, you may get a home game first round of the playoffs. Your second place team, you might be on the road. And, with CIF and the divisions these days, you can go 200 miles away one way for a playoff game, or you can sit at home and play a first round game. So these games are very, very important. And this one's going to be a good one right out the gate in the Mountain West League. And to have these 2 teams playing first, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm hoping we'll get a shootout, because those games are a lot of fun to cover. When you have like the 10-7 games, those are very good to cover too, because you have a lot of defensive plays that come in and things like that. But when you get those games that are like 40-34 and 41-40, those are awesome too. So we'll see what we get on Friday, but I think this could be one of the better games of the year, and it's as far as Southern California goes too.
Absolutely. So then let's move on to the other Mountain West league game. Would be Bonita at Altaloma. Bonita 5-2, Altaloma 4-3. And then we go to the big baseline league where, if you would have told me Upland was playing Etowanda way early on in the non-league season, I would have thought, well, Upland's going to come away with a win easily. But no, don't think too easy about that, because if you look at Upland, 4-3, Etowanda 4-4. The Eagles have really put some good battles up there, have some big wins. One of them against Chino Hills, and right. Upland with the loss against, I believe, Rancho Cucamonga.
No, against Damien.
Damien, that's right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that one's really up in the air for that one. And Etiwanda being at home, so they'll get home field advantage on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good week of baseline league games there with Upland and Etiwanda, Rancho, and Chino Hills. Chino Hills may be down in injury, but their defense is so good that if they can really hold Rancho Cucamonga to maybe under 10 points, maybe they can sneak in some points, whether on defense or special teams, or maybe just score a couple touchdowns offensively. But their defense, Chino's defense is so good. I really hope for the best for them because they could really do some damage in the playoffs like they did last year. Last year they had a very good defense, had a pretty good offense, and I should say pretty good. They were very good too. But this year's defense is just really good, and so it's kind of unfortunate that the offensive has had the injuries they've had. But defense can win games too. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and then we were talking earlier about Damien, facing Chino Hills and how, Chino Hills and how they came away with the win. And Brian, again, says, they're a powerhouse. They'll be, again, at least soon. And Bechtel is the key. And yeah, I guess, again, it's just seeing maybe that, motivation with coach not being there puts these kids, brings up the excitement level. But, that's going to be another factor as well in the future. Now, my heart always goes out to Chino Hills because, 3 games this season already. That overtime, then that, the missed opportunity there, and then with the young man getting injured, it's just one after another for Chino Hills. And talk about adversity. And I know Coach Johnson early on, if you go back to our interview that we had with him several weeks back, again, he talks about adversity and how the team bounces back from it. And this really couldn't be more truer right now than what the Chino Hills team has been, gone through with the ups and downs. So
yeah, it's most definitely like they're one of the teams that their record really doesn't reflect how
exactly
well they've played. They very well could be 6-1, just like Ayala at this point too. They're that good to have a record like that. They lost those close games, and when you lose close games, you goes on your record. But they're a team that doesn't reflect what their record shows.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and scroll on over to the next one. Roland is going to come out to Chino and play. And again, Chino coming back up in the ranks there, getting some key victories to go against this Roland team. Had an opportunity to see Roland play against Diamond Bar, and Diamond Bar was able to neutralize the Roland offense that seemed to start off hot early on in the non-league season. But we talked to Coach LaRosa and chatted with his team, and we saw, the numbers they were able to put up a victory against Cerritos. And, this is another one where it really is anyone's game.
Yeah, they're another team too where they had to. They're a young team, so they came out kind of slow this season. They were shut out in the season opener. They scored 7 points the very next week against Diamond Bar. They had 13 against Baldwin Park, though all 3 were losses. Then they go to Valley Christian and Cerritos, score 17 and win the game. So that's their first win. Then they played Don Lugo in the Melcan game, had 27. So for 5 weeks in a row, Chino upped their offensive point total for the year. Then they played an undefeated El Dorado team and only scored 14 with a 21-point loss. Then played Cerritos in their last game, won by 20. So they're very capable of beating these teams. So if they run up against a good defense, it could be a little bit of trouble, but just because of the experience, the youngness that Coach LaRosa had talked about. But this team knows how to score some points. So if they can get out there, run their offense like they're supposed to. They have Diego Ogata at quarterback. Daniel Nakashima is a very good receiver. They have a good running core right now too. That's starting to pick it up a little bit. So they have a very good shot to win league this year, which is the Sierra League, playing Roland and Pomona, and I think it's Covina is the other team. So 3 games to go. We'll see how it is.
Yeah, definitely. And then there you saw Pomona versus Covina again, kind of up for anyone's grab. So that Sierra League looks like it's anyone's opportunity to grab. West Covina is going to travel to be at Don Lugo. West Covina is an interesting story in itself. There were games where they came out and just wholeheartedly dominated, and then there were games where they lost, but they were still able to put quite a few points on the board. And then they're going up against a Don Lugo team that's 2-5, and as you mentioned, they a young team and just kind of going through some rebuilding going on over at the Don Lugo High School.
Yeah, that's another team I think where their 2-5 record may not reflect how they play. They do play very tough. They're they have some very good athletes on that team. And I was at the game last week against South Hills. It was a 13-point loss. It was 27-14. South Hills won the game, but Don Lugo had a 75-yard touchdown catch and run. Very good play. They moved the ball. Elijah Montijo, the running back, is a tough runner, hard-nosed runner, and he can move up the ball up the field. So 2-5, is probably not reflective of how they can be too. The only game, I know that they'll say this themselves too, but the only game that I think they were pretty disappointed in themselves would have to be the Melcan game against Chino, losing 27-3 a week after scoring 40 against Hawthorne. And then a week after the Chino game, they scored 45. So you went from 40 points to 3 to 45 in a span of 3 weeks. So just a team that needs to learn how to be a little bit more consistent, and they'll get there. And if they can, somehow get into the playoffs here, playing the teams that they do, they got tough teams. They have West Covina, they have Claremont, and they have Chaffey. And Chaffey, I think last year, if I remember right, it was 42-0 at halftime against them. So they have some redemption that they want to get on Chaffey as well. And Claremont beat them last year, so they want to redeem themselves and beat them too and try to get to the playoffs. We were there a few years ago with Don Lugo, and a few years ago back in 2018, we talked about that with Randazzo, and they had gone to the semifinals one year. The 1 year after that, they go to the finals, and the school spirit for Don Lugo, it's just unbelievable what they do over there. Doesn't matter if they're losing, 50-0 or they're winning 50-0. They have the same school spirit. So I'm kind of hoping for my, for my coverage of the newspaper, I'm kind of hoping for Don Lugo to get into the playoffs, because they have a lot of fun to cover. And the school spirit, the fans, the students, the administration, they're good people over there.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next upcoming game. Diamond Bar 6-1 against Walnut 4-2. That's their big branding iron rivalry game. So that'll be fun for both teams to go up against each other. Diamond Bar very strong in their league. Walnut also playing well. And so it'll be a nice head-to-head action to see what goes on. See if the branding iron ends up going back. I believe it's at Diamond Bar right now if it goes back to Walnut. Then Ontario 4-3 against Nogales 5-2. And then here's a team, Northview. This is one that's familiar because this is a team that's played, it almost seems like a lot of the teams in the area here. I know for sure they played Charter Oak, and I believe they also played a few of the teams in the local area too. And they're going to go up against Los Altos 2-5. And then Diamond Ranch 1-6 against the big powerhouse San Dimas, whose program has just been phenomenal the last few years. But did Northview play one of the Chino Valley teams as well?
Yeah, so I'm looking here. They played Charter Oak in their season opener and did fairly well. They lost by 14. It was 38-24, so not too bad. This year, they don't have any of the Chino Valley teams, but they did play South Hills, who played Don Lugo. They played Covina, who plays Chino. They played Bonita, who plays Ayala. So they have a connection there.
Connection, yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see, Diamond Ranch, San Dimas played Don Lugo. They have them in the season finale. And Diamond Ranch, I think, played Chino Hills. So they played teams who played teams from the Chino Valley.
It's like that movie was 6 Degrees of Separation. Everybody's connected somehow.
Kevin Bacon, right? I think that's.
And there you go.
Right.
Oh, Bacon sounds good right now.
Yeah.
So those are the upcoming games, but really, the big thing that, and I don't know if it's a bold prediction, because maybe somebody would just say, well, that's exactly how games are won. But I'm going to believer that I think with this Ayala Charter Oak game, it's going to come down to one misplay, possibly one broken play where the other team takes advantage and just has an opportunity to score or capitalize on it, because these two teams are just head to head when it comes down to offense and defense. And I just think it's going to be unfortunate if one team has a player kind of miss an assignment by accident and that allows a team to score, or who knows, maybe even come down to a PAT that might be missed. I mean, you saw that, Josh, yourself, where one PAT was the big difference in the game.
Yeah, it was the Ayala Chino Hills game. They fumbled. I take it back. Ayala scored on a reverse play. That was the one play I think that they needed there to win that game, because they were having such trouble on offense that they couldn't get going. I think Brian Wilson, the quarterback for Ayala, I think I saw a stat, he was 2 for 13 in the game, 2 for 13 passing for 11 yards. So they had a lot of trouble moving the ball. So I was thinking it's going to come down to one play. and it came down to that reverse that got them the lead. Later on, they kicked the field goal and made it up by 7, and then Chino Hills drove the field, and that's where they went for 2 and fell short on the pass from Vasquez to a receiver in the end zone. But yeah, it does. Like, this is another game too. If it's a 40-39 game or a 10-7 game, it can come down definitely to one play that can make the difference in the game. We've seen that with Ayala, Chino Hills in years previous too, where one pass in the final 2 seconds was the difference in the game.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely could be one of those games too, where it's to come down to who can recover that fumble, who can make the play on defense, who's going to score that touchdown on offense. It really could come down to that.
Yeah, exactly. So again, Josh, before we take a break and head in back with the interview with head coach Dominic Farrar of Charter Oak, let everyone know where they can find your articles and where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, of course. In print, we publish on Friday and Saturday mornings, whenever you get the paper delivered to your house. In print, Chino Valley Champion. On Twitter, we're at CH Champ Sports. On Facebook at facebook.com/champion newspaper. And on Instagram at champion newspapers _Josh T.
All right. And then, of course, if you want to check out any information about Sports Scene TV, just go to our website, sportscenetv.net, Twitter and Facebook at Sports Scene TV, and then, of course, on our YouTube channel, Sports Scene TV 1, and on the Gram, Sports Scene TV 1 as well. We're always open to your questions and comments. We love to see them. We'll even post them here. Just make sure you give the program StreamYard, which is our streaming platform, access to your avatar. And then once that is given permission, we'll see your avatar on the screen as well. And then, of course, on game nights or during the week, send us any of your team scores, stats, photos, or videos. We could share them here with our audience as well. And then don't forget our Sports Scene TV fan appreciation. All you have to do is subscribe, hit the like or the bell icon to be notified when we post new videos, and then send in a comment. And if you've done that already, you'll be input for the random fan drawing. Get a little something of our appreciation you can enjoy before going to a game or even after a game. So when we come back, great to be able to chat with Ayala or check that Charter Oak head coach Dominic Farrar, and then we even talk about the Ayala game and his team. So don't go away. You're watching the sportscenetv.net weekly prep sports live stream here on our YouTube channel, Sports Scene TV 1, or also if you're watching on our Facebook channel, Sports Scene TV. So don't go away. We'll be right back in just a second. And welcome back, everyone, to the Sportscenetv.net weekly live stream podcast. I'm Anthony Serenata. And in segment 2, we always get an opportunity to bring in a member of the coaching family, someone from a player, even some of our local media folks that come in and kind of break things down for us. But, we've had some great guests, but this next guest is someone that's near and dear to all of our hearts, a long time covering their football program. And it just can't think of any other words to just say about what a great person, family, and it's just great to be able to call him an overall friend as well. And I want to introduce our buddy here, head coach Dominic Farrar of the Charter Oak Chargers. Coach, thanks for joining us. I want to let everyone know that you've taken time out of your busy schedule. You wear many hats, not only as a coach, a teacher, athletic director, and to take time out to chat with us. So we're going to be mindful of your time, but it's wonderful to see you back. I know we took a little break because of COVID. I know the season took a little bit of a break as well, but it's great to see you. And thank you again. Really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure, Anthony. I don't know. I'm excited to sit and spend some time with you. We have a long history as far as our relationships concerned. And so with those moments and memories that we've shared in the past, I'm looking forward to just, getting to catch up a little bit and talk about life, talk about relationships, talk about kids more than anything.
No, absolutely. And we're going to get a chance to chat all about that because, let's jump right into it. You guys are off to a great start, a 7-0 record as we head into league play. And as, many coaches say, and, you're probably familiar with it as well. When it comes to league season, it's like the second season. Everyone's back at 0-0. So tell me, as you're going into the second season as a team, are you liking your position where you're at right now? Or do you think you're ahead of schedule if you were to kind of, jump in a time machine and say, wow, this is where we're at going into league? And are there some things that you still want to refine going into league?
Heading into this season, we knew we have a large senior group, and this core of seniors have been together actually longer than even the 4 years that they've been in high school. Stems from even when they were at our youth level, and so where we're at right now, I think our goal every day, literally what we talk about, is being the best and getting better every day and just becoming the best version of ourselves. And for me, performance is a behavior, and behavior is contagious. And so controlling the controllable, ignoring the noise, protecting the team, these are kind of our mantras that we talk about. So we're just trying to manage the expectations currently. And we've been fortunate. We've gotten off to a great start, but we realize with this league and the juggernauts that are in our league, this is going to be our toughest test going forward, are these next 3 weeks of football.
And of course, you mentioned the things that you're able to control, and one of those unknowns is health. How is everyone going into league play? Everyone healed up and ready to go?
Yeah, no, we've been fortunate. We didn't take our bye traditionally like we did the last several years right before league. We kind of wanted to experiment to see what that would do in terms of the emotional and mental part and physical part. And we've been real fortunate. We're healthy. We're alive and well, getting ready to go into this game this week. And so we're just going to continue to be persistent and persevere going forward.
I want to spotlight the fact that most of your teams that you played against, you only allowed about 24 points in a game, and that was the first game against Northview. It was a 38-24 ball game, and that's the least amount of points when you look at overall Mountain West League. You guys have allowed the least amount of points. Obviously, that's a tip of the hat to the defense. Can you tell us a little bit about your defense, and is the strength on your team? I know you mentioned a lot of seniors. Is the strength that these are big kids, fast kids? What's the strength that's keeping the teams at a low scoring point?
Yeah, no, we've worked real hard throughout the offseason and into the season, developing our identity on defense. And I think the word that I would describe our defense with would be grit, tenacity, intensity. But we have been tested every week, and thus far our kids they continue to just compete for 4 quarters. We do though. We have some veteran young men that are also very talented young men on our perimeter, on the back end, and our secondary. We're led by Solomon Davis and Langston Taylor, both our corners. Two of the better coverage people that you'll see any place. I truly believe in the Southland. And then when you've got Bishop Turner and Isaiah Johnson on that back end as well in the secondary, playing safeties for us, that really is a luxury for us that can really afford us to be more aggressive in the box. And then, we've got kids like a young man by the name of Jacob Herrera that he's an unsung hero for us and is one of our few underclassmen that's playing right now on our defense. And he anchors our linebackers with Mekhi Hatch and Matthew Sapien Perez. And those kids they love to scrape and fill, fly around the football field and tackle people. And then up front, if you look at our defensive line, we have Mubarak and Brandon, both 2 defensive end pressure type of guys, edge guys that you combine their speed and their strength with somebody like Hector Jimenez. And of course, is no kept secret, we've got LeVar Man Arrington Jr. That plays on the defensive side of the ball. He's the one sophomore in the group that we have playing. They're just, I think their identity, their strength of identity. We always talk about, isn't the strength of the wolf is the strength of the pack, and they're a pack of wolves, and they swarm the football, and they love playing for each other. And they even compete within the game with each other. And so they just continue to raise the standard. And there is traditionally, our defense has always had a reputation. And so they want to continue to do their part to leave a legacy as well.
And what I misspoke is that 24 points was allowed against Northview, but overall 91 points, which is still the lowest in the Mountain West League, because that takes me to my next point in question is, when we look at your team at the other side of the ball, now they've scored the highest amount of points in last week's win over Marina for your year, 59-14. And then, of course, overall points scored for your team in the league, 273 points. Gosh, we're just barely getting over league or non-league, and almost 300 points you've scored already. I'm sure this has to be a tribute to the offensive game right now that we're seeing with your phenom quarterback, Mr. Richie Munoz. Watching him on video and just seeing how talented your overall offense is, and the speed that these youngsters have to be able to catch up to those long, deep passes, and then to finish off the long sprints to, get into the end zone. Let's back up a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit about Richie and kind of a little bit of the offense that you run there?
Yeah, no, Richie is our humble leader. He is definitely about servant leadership. He's got gifts and talents, so as well as the personnel around him. But his character and his work ethic is second to none. But he loves the game, and he's been working at his craft for many, many years. And so when you've got somebody like him that has as much functional knowledge of the game and football IQ, there's no substitute for experience. And we're very fortunate to have him kind of be our stalwart and our leader on our offensive side of the ball. And between our multiple personnel groups and multiple formations and what we can do between our balanced pass and run attack, we really feature some extraordinary kids that again, just between their athleticism and their heart, they really like to try to tilt the field and play downhill if possible.
You mentioned the run game as well. We see your running back here, Mr. Is it Zachary Black?
Zachary Black.
Zachary Black, 500 yards, 5 TDs. Definitely looks like the workhorse. Can you tell us about him and
Yeah, no, Zachary, between his motor and his overall track speed, he is part of that traditional history at that running back position that we've had. I'd be remiss if I didn't say Zachary and Richie obviously both have Division I offers. So does Solomon Davis, but Zachary is just somebody, again, he's really just kind of taken ownership and pride in being the best version of himself he can be. And I couldn't be more proud of how he's really just kind of tried to smooth out the edges this year and kind of refine himself to being a complete back, inside, outside, not just running the ball, but catching the ball, and then in pass pro too, with pass protection. So if you look at somebody like him and you look at somebody like Richie and the supporting cast around those two, we don't take for granted for a moment that we have some unique kids that is shaping out to be a special year.
Well, we'll get back to the X and O's here, but just in discussing your team so far, to hear the word family and it's more than just football. It definitely is something that rings familiar. If anyone knows Charter Oak football, that the word family is just a synonymous word that is brought to the program by your great father, Lou Farrar, and to see that legacy continue on with family and just being together and just being stand-up hard workers. But that leads me to one thing I remember as well is coaching staff. The people that surrounded your dad and you. I always remember saying that a lot of these coaches were former players, or they had kids on the team as well that have stayed around. Can you talk to us about your coaching staff for this year and how that tradition continues? Whether they're still from former players or coaches who had kids that are still there.
Yeah, no, our staff. I mean, we've been together for 25, 30 years plus. So you don't replace, men like Roger Lehigh and Craig Evans and what they've met as far as their identity, their niche, and just their overall their football presence and intellect and what they meant to our program. But I'm fortunate. Our assistant head coach and special teams coordinator, Steve Smith, he was a part of my dad's first CIF championship win, and he's been with us from day one. And his son just recently graduated the program. His wife teaches and coached for many years in softball on our high school campus. They're community people, but when you have somebody like him that's in the foxhole with me, and then we have Evan Williams that played on our CIF championship team. We have Aaron Vaughns, AJ Powell. I mean, those are historically traditional names that probably are right there with any of our best athletes in their position and would be a part of Mount Rushmore. Then you've got guys like Zachary Nicolai and Matthew Pretty and Andrew Aguayas. I mean, these are homegrown young men that are professional people that are either in college or have graduated for college. They want to go into education-based athletics. They're training to be teachers. I take so much joy in that dynamic and that kind of relationship. And so, yeah, when you have them combined with the new men that I've hired on our staff that I'd like to give a shout out to as well, they're just, we don't make money. We make people. And that's our greatest gift that we can receive, is the gift to give. And so in education-based athletics, we like to say that the score takes care of itself, is about developing, life skills and social skills.
Absolutely. And keeping the theme of the family, I know we spoke about your quarterback, Mr. Munoz, but I recall a little while back there was a season where I think it was either injuries or it was some just real rare occurrence where like one quarterback after the other, I think, got injured. And I believe your son actually stepped in to play quarterback, and did his best to fill in the role. So can you give us an update on how he's doing, and what does he decide when he moved on to college and, major, or how's he doing now these days?
Yeah, no, I thank you for asking about him. Let me just recognize a few more of my coaches real
Sure,
quick
absolutely.
before we go forward. Obviously, the worst kept secret is we have LeVar Arrington now. That's our defensive coordinator. That he's been another rock and a glue for us. The persona that he has, and his charisma, as well as his emotional intelligence, just his passion for the game and his relationship with the kids. He's been a great role model and a leader. And then we have Dathan Hamilton, Chris Nagy, two phenomenal men that have been in the business in a long time, that come over to us now. Selfishly speaking, with him and Joseph Shermer, you've got professional people that have their own pedigree, that just are doing a phenomenal job. And then Brian Tabatabai and Joel Sanchez, these are two men that, were at El Monte for a long time, that have been in our youth program, that are, again, very civic-minded, are actively involved, hands-on in our community, that just bring a wealth and a depth of experience, as well as tradition in their own right, that I'm lucky, because really isn't about me, is about we. And the big we over the little me is our coaching staff, is bar none, second to none. But when you ask about my son, when we asked everybody to take one step forward, as far as who had quarterback experience and would have interest in being our backup quarterback, ironically, everybody took one step back, and Vince kind of looked around and looked to the side of him and kind of was like the default quarterback at the time. And that was because he had been a ball boy for us traditionally for so many years, and everybody was familiar with him throwing the football to us on the sidelines. And so when you ask him to play the quarterback position for us, he never planned on being a starting quarterback his sophomore year. But what happened was Joey Bastillos had an injury that plagued him for his entire senior year. It was really tragic, and necessity is the mother of invention. And by default, Vince was forced to play the position. And I guess what I can tell you about Vince is I couldn't be more proud of him, given the adversity that he went through. Strength of character, he really showed me and our community. I think he was the best representation for us as far as our family's concerned. How tragic is that in the 4 years that you go to high school, that you lose both your grandparents, and through everything that he went through, and how he persevered, he was able to lead us back to some stability, kind of being the bedrock of our football program, got us back on solid ground with his senior class a year ago that graduated, maintained over a 4.0 GPA, chose to stay close to home. So he's attending the University of San Diego this spring. He'll have an opportunity to compete at the quarterback position. I couldn't be more proud of him as a student athlete, but most importantly, as a young man. And so the University of San Diego has been very gracious and decent. Their longstanding tradition in history between their academics and athletics, that is some place where he's going to have an opportunity to compete. He's developed an identity, and the best part is he can unapologetically be himself now. And that last name of his, he can go there and develop his own niche, his own identity, without having to have the shadow of his grandfather as well as his father and his older brother. I appreciate you asking about it, though.
No, absolutely. I remember that. And I remember when we would chat with your dad, we said, where are you finding all these quarterbacks? He says, who would have known? He says, here in Charter Oak, they just fall out of trees.
Yeah, well, that one of our quarterbacks, Zach Nikolai, he was another one. He was forced to play quarterback because we were marred by so many injuries. And his grandfather and my father coached together. His father and I played together. And I forced him to play quarterback with me because I just wanted him to be around me. And gosh, he's just a great young mind now and a great coach. But again, is interesting the history and the tradition of the quarterback position and how that always reveals and unveils itself.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and switch gears with the league season coming in. I guess at Charter Oak, it's either go big or go home, and it's pretty much a playoff atmosphere game going into week one. This could decide potential league, who's going to be one and who's going to be number two, because I think, at least in my honest opinion, I think you've got two of the league's top teams going head to head, unless one of the other teams come up and are able to pull off some big wins. But I think right now it's Ayala and Charter Oak right now leading at least my pack here. But as far as going into the game against Ayala, who's coming off a 56-33 win, so they're on that momentum train as well. What do you see that is going to be the keys to get a victory off a team that has an amazing offense weapons with quickness and speed? And I mean, it just amazes me as well to see how their guys get up and down that football field with just no problem at all.
Yeah, no, my hat goes off to AJ and his coaching staff and what he's built at Ayala. They're a perennial power now, and their traditional success that they've sustained now over his body of work. Total credit to him and to his team and entire program wide, what they do every Friday night. For us, we know that this is our step up game. We respect that this is going to be a barometer for us as far as where we are as a football program now. You look at what they do in the trenches as well as how they play the game on the perimeter. I think the first word that comes to mind is physicality. We're going to have to be able to muster up the courage to match their physical prowess. And when you combine that with their quarterback and their running back and the receivers and how balanced they are, and you look at their defense and how they fly around and swarm the football, we are in for a definite litmus test as far as just having to play, and that's ultimately our goal. We want to be able to put ourselves in a position to hopefully have an opportunity to compete in the fourth quarter and make that a game in the fourth quarter. And if we can do that, then I think we will have arrived. But no doubt that football team, we have the utmost respect for them, and we know, we've been watching them on film the entire week. There are no weaknesses, and on the flip side, they will definitely exploit your weaknesses too. They're so well coached and execute their game plan so well, with great football players, outstanding athletes.
Now, again, I don't want to take up too much of your time, and we'll probably wrap things up here shortly. But you continue to mention throughout the interview, not only the actual sport aspects of your students, but the student athlete side, mentioning offers, and it's just I would love to tell everyone to go to your Twitter page, because it's so amazing, and it's great to celebrate when you see posts that come up that say so and so player received an offer, or so and so player accepts an offer, or this player is moving forward with his education here and there. It's great to celebrate that. And if you get a chance to check out the Twitter page, I think the Charter Oak football Twitter page does that and celebrates it very well. I mean, it should be a template for a lot of programs. I mean, it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're a generational football program, and right now we have men that are playing in the NFL, playing in the CFL. We have young men that are playing FBS, the Division I football, FCS, Division I football. They're playing Power 5, Group of 5. We have kids playing at the Division II, Division III level, and the NAIA level. And then too, we have young men that are in a vocation or trade, or chose just to go to college and continue to pursue and further their education and not play football. But we talk about this brotherhood, and we talk about these lifelong relationships. That's what my dad raised us on. That's the standard that he's set, is for us to be civic minded, and be faith based. And so when you watch our body of work, I think we're a culture of love, we're a culture of learning, and we continue to just produce some of the best young men that you'll find. And when I say young men, I mean they're better husbands, they're better fathers, they're better employers, or better employees, and that, I think, is our greatest reward. That is more enriching for us than anything, is the relationship and the journey. And I don't know, it's just been one heck of a ride, and it just feels good to with me and the grief and the loss I've gone through. Where I heal is where my dad would call his sanctuary, or his safe place, his happy place, and that's on the football field, with our coaching staff and with our kids.
And it's a great transition here, because again, we talked about the Twitter page. Let's pull up this picture here, and you can tell us more about it as well. It's the Charter Oak, Heavenly Blue Arches, and it welcomes everyone to Lou Farrar Stadium. Tell us when this took place, and it looks like it was a nice attended ceremony. You have a lot of folks there in the crowd as well.
Yeah, no, Covina Sunrise Rotary, and those group of men that are a part of that outfit, they donated the resources to be able to put that arch as the entrance to our stadium. Ironically, they had spouses that were in my dad's class, or they're men that we coached youth sports with. Again, there's that dynamic of the relationship. You look right there, our school board president, Jeanette Flores, she's standing there at the podium. Both her sons play football for us. Her brother-in-law is our head freshman coach and will be on our varsity staff next year, and his son plays for us. Her daughters went through our school and are excelling at the collegiate level and beyond. Really is about family. And so that day, what we did is we came together, and we had our district tailgate party, and we did the ribbon cutting ceremony, and my sister and my brother-in-law, her family was there, my wife, of course, and my children were there. We had every level of football there, and then just every walk of life in the community. I don't know if there's a better place that's a better kept secret than the Charter Oak community. And when you look at our district and our site leadership between our school board and our superintendent, assistant superintendent, director of secondary education, and our site principal and assistant principal, vice principal, we're surrounded by people that at the end of the day are about advocating and supporting and continually carrying on this tradition, this legacy that my dad was about, and comes down to one word: kids, advocating and supporting for kids. And my dad talked about that stadium right there in that arch. He knew there was going to come a time and a place. Even my daughter, she's a freshman on our campus, and she says that people will look at her and say, that last name, that sounds familiar. Does that have any relation to the stadium? And she says, yeah, that's my papa. And that's what my dad wanted to be able to do, is people be able to share stories about him and what was important to him. And if he can impart, we can impart his wisdom and his life experiences, and we can matter in a family and in a child's life or children's lives. That's what he was here. He was about service to his community, and to have that arch there and have this name in the stadium named in his honor, that's forever. And we just need to continue to push forward in honoring him.
No, absolutely, and definitely a nice warm welcome to everyone who comes down to the stadium, whether you're a home team or a visitor. You get that nice welcome to the stadium, and a great feeling of knowing, like you said, you're home. You're somewhere where you can feel safe and you can enjoy, prep football, prep sports, and enjoy and watch these youngsters grow up to be great, productive adults. And again, a tip of the hat to you and your coaching staff, and just maintaining that life legacy that you've learned, and passing it on to the rest of the community, because it definitely is synonymous with the last name. And when you walk into that stadium, you definitely know that you're walking in and you can feel like you're at home. So that's definitely a nice touch to the stadium, and look forward to catching a game one day and walking through those arches and enjoying a ball game there. So that's definitely great. Before we close anything out, is there anything you want to mention, either to the community or to your student body, about the season so far this year, or just about the support in general?
No, not really. I mean, right now, I to be perfectly candid with you, my head's been down. We've just been real grounded and focused on the task at hand, and that's just hopefully playing our best football game Friday night. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my wife and my family and my extended family. My attitude is gratitude right now. I'm just humbled because I'm fortunate. I'm just surrounded by so many good people every day, and gives me an opportunity, gives me a platform like now, Anthony, where I can just be able to share what has been my father's life work, and that's what we're here to do, is just try to protect and preserve as long as possible the history and the tradition of our community and our strength of culture. And I think that's a testament to every one of us right now. I think you've seen us in our body of work. It's taken us several years to get to where we're at in this opportunity and challenge on Friday night. We've been through so much grief, but my dad talked to me about at some point you would go in search of what would bring you intrinsic joy, not anything materialistic, not anything tangible, but the intangibles. And I think that's where we're at right now as a community. Downtown Charter Oak, really, there is no downtown Charter Oak. Downtown Charter Oak is at the 50-yard line, and has been just the best ticket in town for us to be able to embrace and celebrate our relationships on Friday nights under the lights, and play for each other and play for the brotherhood and the tradition in our program. So thank you for having me on. I look forward to seeing you on the sidelines here sooner than later. I know we go many years back, so to go full circle and be able to reminisce as well as anticipate and look forward to the future, I'm blessed, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Well, again, we wanted to thank you as well for taking time out. I know you wear many hats there at the school, and don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we wish you all the best on Friday night. And for me as a spectator, it's going to be fun to see two of the area's top teams play, and to see the young talent that's out there. And best to you and the rest of the staff for a successful and healthy season this year.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate the time.
Well, thank you so much. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be segment 3. You've been watching the Sportscenetv.net weekly live stream podcast here on Sports Scene TV.
High school sports are one of the things that make living in California so great.
But sometimes the behavior in the stands can overshadow our achievements on the field.
I love it when my parents show up for me.
But being booed for missing a play could be crushing.
And remember that refs are people too.
They're trying their best to call a fair and correct game.
Hey, and enough with all the swearing.
No one should feel insulted or ashamed
because of their race, ethnicity, or gender.
We should be able to hold our heads high after the match, win or lose.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Sportscenetv.net weekly live stream. I'm Anthony Serenano again. Let's see if I get this right. Nope, Josh Thompson on that side. I went the opposite way again.
Yep, you're on this side to me.
Went the opposite way. Oh, my gosh. Anyways, just want to thank again Coach Dominic Farrar. I know back in the day when his father, Coach Lou Farrar, was around, Brian and I would do the podcast, and we would introduce him and call him Captain Lou, running the ship over there at Charter Oak. And now it looks like taking over the helm now is Captain Dom, running the ship over at Charter Oak. But again, looking forward to a big game Friday night, and it's going to be a treat for both of us. I know Josh is going to be there. I'll be there, and should be fun. It's becoming football season. You can feel the weather. It's cooling down and getting crisp, and it's great. Yeah, and just as Brian Gillette would say here, right there, incredible interview, and Brian really would have loved to have an opportunity to have him there. Just so many moments with Dominic and chatting and going back into the memories. I think we could have been there for 3 hours, and I think it showed in that interview. But let's go ahead and wrap things up. One more time, Josh, let everybody know where they can find Josh Thompson's amazing coverage, especially for Friday Night Football recap here.
Yeah, most definitely. Facebook.com/champion newspaper. Friday nights have a photo gallery up along with some a big list of scoring plays from the games, along with records and schedules for the following week. On Twitter, @ChampSports, and on Instagram, Champion Newspapers _Josh T.
All right, and then of course check us out on the Sports Scene TV sites. We got our website. That's where kind of like your key. If you're lost, don't know where to go, just go to the website sportscenetv.net. Twitter and Facebook @SportsSceneTV. And of course, don't forget to dial in on the YouTube channel, Sports Scene TV 1. Same thing for Instagram. We're on Sports Scene TV 1. Again, during the shows, please send in your questions, your comments. We love to hear. And then don't forget to share your team scores, stats, photos, or any videos at all. And if you are watching not only live, but during the replay, if you send us your subscription, if you subscribe to us, and then you give us a thumbs up, and you also put in a comment, it'll automatically enroll you into the Sportscenetv Fan Appreciation contest. And at random, someone will be selected, and you'll win a little something from us to show our appreciation to you. And you can probably utilize it before you go to a game or after a game as well. And who knows, maybe it's after the game this Friday night. If you go to that Ayala game, be sure to tag us so that way we know that you're there. And be really fun to see if you have any pictures from the stands or any video as well. But until then, Josh, again, thank you so much for joining. We'll get
You're
back
welcome.
so you can check out that Dodger game. I know right now it's kind of it's close, but we'll see.
I haven't seen a score in a little bit, so we'll see what happens.
All right. So for Josh, this is Anthony. Brian, hope you're doing well out there. We know you're getting a little bit of a rainstorm, but hang in there, buddy, and take care. And for all of us here, see you out in the football field Friday night. Until then, we'll catch you later. You've been watching the Sportscenetv.net weekly live stream show. So long, everybody.
Goodbye.
High school sports are one of the things that make living in California so great.
But sometimes the behavior in the stands can overshadow our achievements on the field.
I love it when my parents show up for me.
But being booed for missing a play could be crushing.
And remember that refs are people too.
They're trying their best to call a fair and correct game.
Hey, and enough with all the swearing.
No one should feel insulted or ashamed
Because of their race, ethnicity, or gender.
We should be able to hold our heads high after the match, win or lose.